derived from the leaves of the coca plant. When cocaine enters the body, it has a strong effect on body functions by acting as an irritant on the brain. Large overdose of cocaine causes convulsions, then death. Cocaine causes unusual and often unpredictable feelings and actions. In his ignorance, Marty took that dare, little knowing the eventual horror that lay in the deadly white powder.
Marty, have you seen the painting shears I bought last week? Can't seem to find them anywhere. Marty, you don't see right. I'm worried about you. There's something wrong. I'm going to take you down to Dr. Vickers this afternoon for a checkup.
No, I'm all right.
As his body gradually built up a tolerance, he needed more and more of the drug. Cocaine causes unusual and often unpredictable feelings.
Okay, here we go. It is 8 o'clock Sunday, live. It's Bridge Sky. I'm here tonight. Sorry about last week, folks. I share a building, aka my studio, and I didn't realize I'm not a sports person. It was Super Bowl night, and it was loud, and I was going to push through it, and then I had technical difficulties, and so I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to wait till 10 o'clock. Well, 10 o'clock rolled around, and I was not in a good mindset, and I was already ready for bed. So anyways, thank you for your patience, but we're going to just do a replay of what we were going to do so we didn't miss anything. I do have my virtual guest with me tonight. So if this is your first time listening, this is K.I.S.S Recovery 101. K.I.S.S is a fun acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. And what we're going to talk about tonight isn't really simple, but we're definitely going to make a point to try to keep it straight, simple, clear, to the point. But it's a deeper, tougher topic. So yes, now you came on the Rise Up Hour. I want to talk about I want to clarify who you are before we even go into the show. So you came on, I think it was last week's on the Rise Up Hour, Sundays, 1 p.m. WFMU 94.1. Raina, do you want to say hello?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. So Raina, I just want to talk about what we talked about when we discussed. We discussed self-awareness and the power
Mm-hmm.
of recovery-focused language. And Rita, you are a certified peer support specialist and a psychology student. And you also have your own RainaZeal.com, which is a great online store that focuses on helping to educate and understand depression. So you use your products, your awesome clothes to support the recovery journey. And I quoted one of your shirts says, self-care is how you take your power back. And what I loved about we talked about on that show was your own, within yourself, your own self-talk, that
Mm-hmm.
awareness piece. So that was beautiful. So today we're
Thank
just going
you.
to kind of keep going with it.
Okay. Um, yeah, the key to recovery is self-awareness. Um, be able to have the raw conversation with yourself. Um, at least that's what works for me. Um, kind of get out of my own head and see things from a different perspective.
Absolutely. And we are live for a reason because I want people to interact. So, listeners, if you're listening, please feel free to definitely comments, questions, anything that you want to share on your own story. So, if you didn't get a chance to read the post tonight, it says, "What happened? Childhood trauma affects everyone, whether you remember or not." So, actually, tonight, Dr. Gabor Mate has changed everything for me. He really understands addiction, he really understands trauma. And so, he actually has 7 impacts. We're going to list those out tonight of trauma that might allow you to explore your own pain. Because guess what, Rada? Your
Well,
body remembers things even if your brain doesn't. And I did not even realize
yeah,
that was a thing.
yeah, that is true. That is completely true. Your body remembers even when you try. Sometimes it's like us trying, it's too much for us, and we try not to remember it because it's painful, but your body remembers it.
Yes. And you
Isn't that
will,
wonderful?
oh, what'd you say?
Isn't that wonderful? You can
Well,
cheat on your body, right?
yes. Yes, you know what? And I'd actually now, before my body would be triggered. I'd start shaking. I'd have panic attacks, all kinds of different things, but I wasn't aware of why. So I hated it. I
Mhm,
hated myself. I hated my body. I hated my brain. But now that I've been able to understand myself, educate myself um, from other people, from real therapy and therapists and treatments, now when those things pop up, I'm able to look at myself and say, "Okay, there's something else that needs healing here." What is that?
mhm, mhm,
Oh, it looks like we
mhm.
got some interactions. So let's see. Lois Victoria says, "Show starts at 8. It's almost 9. Oh, we're Central Time." Let's see. The body keeps score. It Body keeps score is a good book. Yes. Oh, and there's that book, The Body Keeps Score, which I'm still working through. But I've read What Happened to You. I don't know if you're familiar with that book, Raina. That was
No, I'm not.
Bruce D. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. That was huge for me to understand not only my childhood trauma, but the different, I thought neglect was neglect. Well, there's different forms of neglect, and
Yes.
they all affect everyone differently.
Mhm,
So I do have a great clip. You did get to, I sent you the whole thing. We're only going to play a couple minutes. Um, But Dr. Gabor Mate has been instrumental in bringing awareness for people that suffer from addiction and shedding light to those seeking recovery. Understanding, in quotes, normal as false allows a person to stop neglecting the roles that trauma, stress, and the pressures of living in society today, how they impact us. So, how to find true healing and learning to find new ways to cope that doesn't fit in anyone else's box of what is acceptable or the, again, in quotes, right way. And this is what I love is that finding acceptance within myself, that awareness brought me to really accept myself as I am, understand myself, and then I was no longer beating myself up, you know, and shaming
yeah.
myself, let alone society.
Yeah, I mean, the society is doing a wonderful job shaming you already, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do yourself a favor and just accept yourself the way you are. Uh, Accept yourself as you are. And that is a powerful when you reach that level where you're able to accept yourself as you are. It's a power, it changes your perspective. It gives you this invisible power, sort of like, oh, this is me. You either like me or don't. But this is me. This is my
Mhm.
authentic self.
Yes. And what I would say too is through your story, I'm not gonna go into the whole story, but on the radio show you shared, you had quite the childhood. Your mom and dad, that home wasn't what we would say is a healthy, happy home. There was fighting all the time. Your mom ended up having to leave, and your dad got, you got a stepmom, but you were the oldest, and at 15 years old you took on a parent role raising your siblings. And so right away, that's stressful enough as it is. Then there's physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional, mental abuse. And like myself, I think that's why I connected with you instantly. Yeah, I never experienced personally what a happy, healthy home looked like. I had no idea what loving parents were like. Um,
Mhm.
but that set my brain up to, easily go into survivor mode, fight or flight mode. Um, and recognizing that that's not how it should be. So, Rita, we're gonna go into the clip, and then I'm gonna let you do some talking. Okay? You
Okay.
ready? Okay. So
Yeah.
this, if you go on YouTube, and you go to, there's this great channel called Wholehearted, WHOLE Hearted. Um, that one is we're gonna that's where I'm gonna talk about the 7 impacts. But the one I'm gonna play for you now, if you go to the channel, Way of Thinking, find your true self when you feel lost. And this is Dr. Gabor Mate. We're only gonna play 3 minutes, and then we'll come right back. Okay. Okay.
We already are authentic. You can't not be authentic. You're just not in touch with it. And we have all these defenses and all these mechanisms with which we keep from being authentic, like being nice all the time. It's not a question of jumping in, it's a question of uncovering through patient and compassionate, kind self observation the way in which you're not being authentic. So, one spiritual teacher says that liberation is not some great thing that you achieve all of a sudden. Liberation happens every time that you realize that you're not your personality. There's always fear in moving towards authenticity because we've been taught since children to be afraid of our authentic selves. Because if we're our authentic selves, we're going to lose the world. That's the fear. There's always going to be fear there, and that fear has to be confronted, has to be recognized, understood, and accepted. And Celia said, the biggest stresses of human beings are emotional ones. And the biggest stress of all is trying to be who you're not. But how long ago did you find that out? You're still new at it. You're still learning. So instead of being frustrated with yourself about, like when you say, why am I still like that? Now, there's two ways to ask that question. If you say, why am I still like that? If I said to you, why are you like that? Is that a question or a statement? It's a statement. And what is the statement saying? You're not good enough. So when you ask it like that, you're accusing yourself. You're not actually asking a question. You're making an accusation against yourself that you're not good enough. There's another way to ask the same question. I could ask you, gee, I'm curious. Why do you do that? Why are you like that? Well, what do you suppose, is behind that? Is that a question or a statement? That's a question. Which one do you think you're more likely to answer? If I say to you, why are you like that? Why are you still doing this? Or what if I said to you this? You say this, here's your 30, and you're an intelligent woman, and you've learned all these things, but I'm noticing that despite what you learned, you're still doing some of the same things that you used to do before. Now, why do you suppose that is? Now, that's a question. Which one do you think you might more open up to? The first way of putting it or the second way? So that the first thing is, you've got to ask yourself the right way. In other words, you have to ask it with compassion. Remember I said compassion for yourself. Compassionate curiosity. Say, why am I like that? That's not a question. That's a statement. I already know. I'm like that because I'm not good enough. But if you ask it compassionately with curiosity, then you might be able to come up with the answer. So I suggest that every time that question comes up for you, ask it with that compassionate curiosity rather than as a self-accusation. Then
Okay. Rita, I want to get your take on that clip first. Anything that stood out to you? Anything you connected with?
Yes. When he said the way you ask the question matters. Um,
Mhm.
the first option and the second option. Uh, that is recovery language, and I think we touched a little bit on that um, last week. Compassion toward ourselves. We are quick to give uh, that compassion to others, but we don't give it to ourselves. We don't feel like we deserve it. And one thing that I really like is the way you ask yourself the question: Why are you always like that? Or why are you like that? That negative tone attitude toward the question itself is not encouraging to try and find the answer to that question. Like
Yeah.
you said, it's an accusation. Like, and we all know when you're accused of something, you immediately go into defense mode, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I want to defend myself. You did not just say that. No, this is so. You're not. Then you don't look inwards to try and find the answer to that question. And I love the way he said it beautifully. Um, when he said, "You're a smart woman. You're an intelligent woman, and you know a lot of things." But I notice this:
Mm-hmm.
you've already given the person a compliment. You already touched on their strength. And that what that does is it allows us to come down like, oh, I'm good at this. But then when you bring that up, like I noticed you do this. Why do you suppose that the person looks that gives the chance to think about it? Like, wait a minute. I don't know. I don't know why I do that.
Right.
You know, you question yourself. You try to find out why, the reason behind your action. Um, I find that really powerful. That's something I learn to do. Um, and I find it really powerful. Um,
I would agree
and
100%. Just that I love that he said just really having that compassion for ourselves, right?
mhm,
And like
yeah,
you said, and this is what I love about what you shared is, all that compassion and empathy that we're giving to other people, why aren't we doing giving that to ourselves first?
yeah,
That wasn't my go-to. And he also said, having that compassion and also asking that question with true like curiosity. And that's where
mhm,
I sit today is, wow, why am I getting so, instead of wanting to respond, why am I feeling so reactive? Not only with my body, but, you know, my mind, my brain, my words want to be reactive. Why? And taking that pause.
yeah.
And so,
Because you go into that defensive mode, right?
right. And
Because
that's
that
and then
question
wall
doesn't
comes
sit
up.
well.
Yes. And so one thing I wanted to touch on, Raina, that you shared on your story was, and it's like it was my story too. A lot of people in my childhood, children were seen and not heard. Well, if you don't
Mhm.
get a chance to be heard and you don't get that validation and recognition as a human being, then in my mind, and like he just spoke on this, Dr. Gabor Mate, is I'm not good enough. I'm not this is for me. I'll speak for myself. I wasn't worthy to speak. I wasn't worthy to be heard. I wasn't worthy of love. And so,
Yeah.
as your childhood, would you say, when now where you sit today, I mean, you've healed a lot and you're in recovery, but what's that self-negative talk that you caught yourself that you weren't even aware of?
Um. Well, like I don't deserve love. I don't
Ah,
deserve to be loved. Um.
mhm,
And one thing that keeps coming back, or one thing that was um vicious with me was, if my mom didn't love me enough to stay, why would anyone else love
right.
me? Right? Like, she didn't love me, because if she did, she would not have left.
Mhm.
Um, so I was looking for love in the wrong places. um, got myself into an abusive relationship because I just wanted to be loved. And I didn't know at the time that was what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Looking back, it makes sense, right? You were never hurt. You were seen but not heard, and um, that sets something off in your brain. Why am I not loved? What is bad about me? What is so bad that my own mom could not love me? What is it? And when you're in that mode, when you reach that level, you're just looking for love in the wrong places. And trust me, you will find those who will take advantage of that.
Oh, yes.
Um, and it just keeps going until you realize it. In my culture, you say once you know your sickness, then you know the cause.
Yeah.
You know how to cure it. Sorry. Once you know your sickness, you know how to cure it. Once I became aware of this self-negative thought and this behavior and how I keep falling into the same trap and just going around, um, I had to take a step back and get to know myself.
Yes.
That's where I started my self-awareness journey. Um, Trying to figure out what is the reason behind uh, me wanting to be loved so bad that I put myself in uncomfortable situations, an
Mm-hmm.
abusive situation. What is it? What am I looking for? Because at the time, I didn't think that I was missing my mom. I didn't think that taking care of my siblings had an impact on me. I didn't think that all my childhood experiences were somehow inside my body, that my body was holding on to that experience, right?
Right. Right.
And and that is causing my way of thinking behavior. I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
So it
And
was
that's oh,
wonderful
I don't know.
to learn, you know, to learn about myself and why I react the way I react, or say certain things about myself, or why I'm mean to myself, um, and then kind of think, okay, that happened to me. I had to move away. I had to work on moving from being a victim, because once you see yourself as a victim, you stay in that mode and you're not able to heal, you're not able to move forward, um,
Mm-hmm.
which was my case, because I was like, I was the victim. I was raped. My mom left me and I had to pick up after her. My dad was there, but he moved on with a new wife, and I was a victim. I was mistreated. I was abused physically, mentally, sexually abused. And uh, I just stayed there.
For
It's
years.
everyone's fault. For years, it was everyone's fault. I had nothing to do with it. Well, I, yes, I might not have anything to do with it, but um, I have a choice, right? I can either stay in that mode, like in that victim mode, or yes, I could move forward, and that would be, yes, that happened to me. That is bad, but this is now, and how do I want to live my life? Who do I want to be? What do I want for myself? You know,
Right. Okay, and I want to talk about so these 7 impacts of trauma. And did you know the Greek word trauma is actually the Greek word is wound, means
really?
trauma. Wound, yes. And that just like makes sense, right? And so, you know, addiction comes from what a Dr. Gabor Mate says, and I completely agree with him, is we're trying to soothe the pain and we found our way of doing it. And addiction doesn't have to be just substances. It can be, you know, food, it can be gambling, it can be sex, it can be coffee, phones,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
finding something that's not, that distracts. Well, for me, I'll speak for me, distracts from my pain. Um, and in substance use for me, it was numbing that pain, not really, I'd feel the body would feel it, the brain would think about it, but I didn't want to. I wasn't ready. I didn't even know what it was. So, 7 impacts of trauma. Now, there's big T, big traumas, which I would say our childhoods are pretty similar. That would be big T traumas. But there's little T traumas that Dr. Gabor Mate goes into that I think a lot of people don't even realize can happen when you're in your mother's womb and she's pregnant and she's stressed out and she's going through things. She's releasing hormones. She's releasing stuff that's going right into the baby's body that, you know, the mother wasn't even aware of. So you could have trauma already wired in your body, in your brain, in your body that you don't even realize. And here's 7 impacts. I'm going to list them out quick. And I don't know if you heard the alarm. So we're doing good on time. Oh, Martin's
Mhm.
here. Yo, it's Martin. Hey, Martin. Um, but 7 things that you might not even realize you don't remember that were so back but when you were developing or, before your whatever age 5 that happens that you don't even remember. So, number 1, separation of self. So, what makes us disconnect? Was there moments where I know for me, I had to separate from myself? I had to disconnect to survive. Like, I had
Mhm.
many moments of unsafe situations um, where I couldn't be reactive, fight or flight, or there's freeze, and then there's also fawn. But my brain had
Mhm.
to like pause and kind of take myself out of the situation because I couldn't cry for help. I'd get punished more. I couldn't run away. I was too little. I just go to a cot and he would have been more bad. um, and so, I couldn't fight. I was little. So that's number 1. Number 2, disconnection from others. Ooh, this is a very common one, Reina.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
you
it
don't trust
is.
other people. Would you say
Yeah,
trust has been an issue?
it is. It is. When I felt like I couldn't depend on my parents. If I couldn't trust my parents, why would I trust anyone else?
Exactly. The people you're
You know.
supposed to trust, they're supposed to be protecting you. We're supposed to be protecting me. We're the ones abusing me. So that was a big problem. So I didn't trust my parents. I didn't trust anybody. Um, Number 3, altered worldview, which is how you see the world. And if you come from any
Mhm.
form of trauma, you're not going to see the world as a quote unquote normal view. Okay. So if you see
Mhm.
any form of violence or verbal abuse, any kind of domestic, like it doesn't always have to be hitting, it doesn't have to be breaking things. I think verbal abuse is very traumatic when you're young. If, people are saying
Yes.
hateful, horrible things. So, third one is that altered worldview, which makes sense. The fourth one is lifelong pain. Now, I don't know. This one kind of took me aback for a minute. So I listened to the whole thing and he said, lifelong is in quotes. It can be lifelong unless you actually deal with it, unless you're willing to really sit down and process everything and start to heal from it. It will be lifelong pain.
Mhm. He's right.
At number 5, cognitive development. So this is kind of already similar to what number 3 or number 1 was talking about, but that self-regulation never develops. So if your trauma happened when you were younger, even before you had memories, you were conscious, self-regulation is is never going to be quote unquote normal. And so what I've learned actually, children, when they're seeing things that are scary, okay, or traumatic, the brain will stop developing. So it slows down the process of, being able to cognitively develop on quote unquote, that scale of normalcy. Um, and then number 6 is personal shame. So shame based view of self. So this was definitely for me. I never even realized that the world could be any different. I always believed that I was, like you said, Reina, not worthy of love. I didn't deserve love. Um, I was adopted. I was always given away. I was always in foster care. Like, I don't deserve love. Shame is I'm a bad person. Guilt is
Mm-hmm.
different. Guilt is I did bad things, but that's not but shame is this thing, ugly thing within inside myself that I really believed I wasn't supposed to be here. Nobody wanted me. So that was a big thing. And then you throw addiction into it and all the the things I was
It
doing
makes
outside
things
of it.
complex.
Oh, completely. And then the last one is difficult being present in the present
Mm.
moment, not being so here's what's beautiful, and Rain, I want you to speak on this if maybe in past or where you sit today. Um, difficult being present means not reacting as the in the present moment as it presently is. What I always thought that I was in the present moment, and my reactions were based on if I got reactive, it's because of what you're saying, it's because of what you're doing. Like we about to fight, like this is about to happen. um, but what Dr. Gabor Mate, later helped me realize is I'm not reacting to the present.
To
I'm reacting this moment, but it's because of what happened to me in the
in the
past.
past, yes,
Yes.
that is true. I had I had to learn to be in the present. Um, I've seen too many uh, mistreatment of kids and women, and that sort of created this huge volcano in me that is ready to erupt any time anyone does something small. It's like I have this anger built up in me that is like a volcano that is ready to erupt. And well, it was hard for me to regulate my emotions. And when I see something in the present, like maybe a mom yelling at the child, I'm not react. I react so badly. Like I go into this uh, protective mode where I'm like, no, you don't do that to a child. You don't do that to a child. That's mean. Well, I wasn't reacting to that situation. I was reacting to something that has happened to me in the past.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
once I realize this, I take a step back and then realize, like, okay, this is me. I'm safe. Um, kind of ground myself, sort of speak. Like if I was wearing shoes, I would take off my shoes and just feel the ground.
Mm, mhm.
Or I would put my hands. If I let's say this happened um, outside of my house, what I do is I uh, will remove myself from the situation and just kind of bring myself back to presence. And the way I do that sometimes is by taking off my shoes and just feeling the ground, especially the grass. I like feel the grass, the earth underneath my feet, and then I will touch my nose, try to focus on the smell around me,
Yes.
touch
There's a
my body, like this is me, I'm here, I'm safe. Um, just go through that whole process and then come back to myself.
That's beautiful. And then my therapist actually had me just hug myself. It sounds silly, but if you do it right now, I encourage anybody to do it right now. I'm doing it right now. Just hug
It feels
yourself,
good.
right? I picture my inner child, just hugging my inner child or my daughter or whatever, really hugging, like doing that physical reaction, it just helps soothe and comfort whatever's going on. Now, I don't know if you heard it, Rita, but there was an alarm that went off. And
Yes,
did you hear that too?
yeah.
That's a fire sound, Rita. That means it's hot tea time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so don't be too scared. I just want you to know, of course, answer only what you feel comfortable. But right now, with the hot seat, what we're going to do is three hotter, heavier questions that are meant to be, whatever you answer, it's not to put you, make you feel uncomfortable. It's more if anyone's listening, maybe something you answer they can connect with. So, are you ready?
Let's do this.
Okay, question number one, Rada. Hot seat time. What's your biggest trigger for negative self talk? Where it sits today. What would you say is your biggest trigger that your brain automatically just starts saying bad things to yourself?
Yeah, that's deep. Yeah, that's deep. And I'll gladly respond to that. When I, I sometimes I feel like a failure when I don't get things done. Like, let's say I'm excited about a project and I started and I got like that setback. Um, I don't think my brain just right away goes to, there you go, you're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even finish this project you started. Um, but then when that self talk, negative self talk kicks in, um, I am able to catch myself in the act and just kind of take a step back and go, no, you're not. You're not a failure. This is a setback. What do you need to do to fix it?
Yeah.
Um, that practice has been really helpful to me because then I'm able to stop my negative voice in my head and kind of it's tiring, I must say.
Mhm.
The worst part is the fight. The worst fight to fight is the fight within yourself.
Yes.
Um, and so I sort of do this, have this debate between my negative self-talk and my positive one, the one that brings me back to present. Like, no, you're wrong.
Yes.
No, you're wrong. Um, I'm not a failure. This is just a setback, and you just need to reevaluate the situation and figure out how to move forward. You can do this. Look at what you've done. You've been through a lot, and look at what you've accomplished. Um, so, kind of remind myself of my achievements and situations that I've overcome to get to where I am today. Um, and that helps, that boosts my mood and just kind of give me this confidence to keep going and figure out what I need to do to move forward instead of
Love
getting
it.
stuck in that setback.
Okay. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, then you're gonna love question number two. And Raina, when I rate these questions, I'll tell you, I'm asking myself these questions as well. And you pretty much said what I thought. And here's question number two. Get ready, Raina. What
Hmm.
was your greatest failure? What would you say has been your greatest failure?
Oh, that is my inability to know my worth as a teenager.
Hmm. Okay. Knowing your
That's
worth
been,
as a
yeah.
teenager. Why as a teenager?
As a teenager, because I feel like I could have done better if I uh, had self confidence. If I um, know that my mom living wasn't about me, it was about what she was going through. It was about her, not about me. And just kind of figure things out, like be okay with my flaws
Mhm.
and just kind of be this badass woman that can do anything. Feels like I can do anything. Um, like my self-esteem is now contingent on what people think or say about me. Um,
So,
I'm
very
just like
personal
anybody
question,
else.
and you don't have
Yeah.
to answer, but have you talked to your mom since? Have you guys had any kind of conversation along those lines?
Oh, we did. We did.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Okay.
we did. Uh, and well, we've always talked, but the problem with us is that uh, in my culture, like I said, kids are seen, not heard. And I
Mhm.
was just this little naughty girl that would ask big questions, um,
Mm.
and I would get in trouble. So I I couldn't be around my mom for 5 minutes without me getting into some sort of trouble.
Mm.
There was a time my dad was stepping out of their marriage, and she was trying to change who she was. She was trying to bridge her skin so that it's funny, but she was using mixing chemicals to kind of bleach her skin so that she becomes lighter,
Wow. Mhm.
and maybe that will stop my dad from uh, having mistresses. And I don't remember
Did you
how
even
old I
know that
was.
as a kid?
I, yeah, I was in my early, probably 13 or 14 years, and I looked at her and I'm like, okay, let's say you succeed and you have a fair skin. Now, what is next? What are you gonna change next um, to try and get his
Wow.
attention? Um,
Mhm.
and she was very angry at me, and she just threw her shoe at me and you with your big mouth. I hate that old soul in you. Those
Mm.
were her exact word. Um, so we, I would say it. I'm that type of person. If you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so astounding, Raina, that you, yes, at 13, probably had more wisdom,
Um,
twice your 3 times your age. And yeah, the truth hurts.
it hurts. I was just to me it didn't make any sense because okay,
Mhm.
let's say you succeed in changing your skin color to what you think he might like. What are you gonna change next?
Yeah.
Um, so we kind of have this love and hate relationship to the point where we stop talking
Mhm.
um, completely. But 2 years before she died, we started talking again. She became ill, and I had to take care of her. And during that
Wow.
time, I was like, I needed to know um, why you left. I
Yeah.
needed to hear you say you did not leave because of me, because we fought a lot, or
Wow.
because of something I did um, that didn't help the situation. I needed to know that in order for me to move forward.
Yeah.
Because I tried to move forward, but it just did not. Sit, I just could not get past that.
Did she give
Um,
you an answer?
yes, she did. She told me. She first asked me, "What would you have done?" What do you mean? What would I have done?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You are the adult here. I'm the kid. I was the kid. Like, what are you talking about? And she said, what would you have done if you are married to a man who doesn't know your worth, who sees you as his property?
Mm.
And no matter what you do, you feel like you're not enough for him. What would you have done? And I had to take a minute and think about it. Like,
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I wouldn't have reacted very well. I'd have been like, well, I wouldn't have left my children. I would have taken them with me. But of course, I don't know the story. But
Yeah,
I would have felt defensive.
well,
I would have felt
I
defensive in that moment.
well, I had my time to think about all this, like for years, right? So when that
Yeah.
moment came to have that conversation, I had to decide in that moment: do I want to get defensive and bring this and not end up not getting the answers that I've been looking for? I mean, like I've been looking for years, or do I want to actually sit and listen to her? What I want to hear, I know my part of the story. I want to focus on her part of the story.
Yeah.
Why she made the decisions she made then. Um, and I said, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know if your decision was the best one either. Um,
Hmm.
and she said, well, if I had taken you all, then you all would have been out of school because she wasn't financially stable to keep paying for our school fees because in Africa, uh, the government, it's private school and even public school, you still have to pay. So if
Sure.
she had taken all four of us with her, we would not only have stopped our education, but food, and we would have probably ended it
You would have
on the
been
street.
suffering along with her.
Yes. Um,
Gotcha.
so she thought it was best for her to leave us behind and just it would make it easier for her to look after herself, but also we would be well taken care of.
Mm.
And I said, well, that was your assumption. That wasn't what happened.
Ah.
Um, so we kind of we had this conversation for months. It wasn't just one uh,
Interaction.
conversation. No, it was like an ongoing conversation over and over. Like I'll go back and be like, okay, so what if you had left and don't you have any family member who could have helped you? If you've
Mm.
taken us with you, like I just wanted to get to the bottom of it, and at the
Right.
end of the day, I realized that she was dealing with depression at the time
Right.
and
Well, I'm so
didn't
glad
have any support.
that you got to have that answer at least, before she passed. Otherwise, I mean, for myself, I won't get that answer from a couple people. But I've, accepted that within myself. So we're running out of time, Rita. This always happens. Last question. Are you ready? And thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. That's really, I'm almost speechless. So, number three, Reina, last hot seat question. What was the last thing you said to someone, and it can't be yourself? What was the last thing you said to someone that you had to apologize for, if you remember? These are hot questions.
I'm laughing because they say I have big mouth.
Uh-huh.
Because well, it was my friend, um, and she she's always late to
Mhm.
any appointments or any event. She's always late, and she was late again. And I said, one day you are gonna be late to your own wedding because you have no concept of time at all. And she didn't take that well.
I was gonna say, did she get defensive? Did she take that real personal?
Yeah, I was like, ever since I've known you, and I've known this person for over 15 years, and never has she ever been on time. And I said, you always do this. You never on time since I've known you. You're gonna be late to your own wedding. Watch. You remember this day. You remember I told you this. And yeah, she was not um happy with me. Um and I had to apologize. Like,
I was gonna say,
yeah,
did you apologize right away or did you wait
no,
to
it
let her
took us
know?
a minute.
Okay. So, yeah.
It
It
took
was
us
the
a
truth there
minute.
though. It was the truth.
Yeah, but I could have framed it better.
Sure.
Um, uh, I could have just started with, okay, we are running behind uh, for our programming because you came in late,
Mm-hmm.
um, or something along that line would have provided different or better solution or better outcome. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, she wasn't happy at all, and probably the way I said it, my tone, my pitch, yeah,
But
I
at the
had
end
to.
of the day, what anyone says to you has nothing to do with what they actually said. It's something within ourselves, right? So you probably didn't know. And yeah, of course. See, you're a nice person. And you're like, well, I could have said it differently. And yes, we all could have said that. But really, if she didn't feel insecure about that, if she didn't have something, who knows what was going on before, or she wouldn't have had that reaction if it wasn't there was some truth to it that she was beating herself up about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, she knows this. She knows this. It just that she didn't need she didn't need me to rub it in.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Okay.
guess that was what caused her reaction. She's aware of this, and we even had a conversation about it one time, and she said she was working on it. So me saying it out,
Wow.
she was already guilty about it.
Mhm.
So it didn't help that I raised my voice and said what I said.
Well, communication is key. And thank you, Rita. That was great. I don't know if you heard it, but they're running out of time. 8 minutes. We're gonna do the last segment.
Mhm.
It's live meme time. So um we won't be able to see comments. So if anybody's gonna comment during, you'll just have to wait till after. But Rita, you're gonna see now these are actually a week old, so I don't even remember whatever beams I picked because for whatever reason. But so we're gonna be doing this together. But
Yeah.
all it means is I'm going to flash you the ones that, for whatever reason, through the week, I took a screenshot of and it stuck out to me. So I hope most of them are funny. I honestly don't remember, but they could be inspirational. But we're going to have a conversation. Are you ready?
I am.
I think I got like 8 of them. Okay, here we go. Flashing meme number one. So I'm going to describe it. And then if you don't mind, if you could read it. So it looks like the guy from The Office, I think. And he's
When you
making a
go
face.
to
He's making a
yeah,
weird face.
when you go to a Super Bowl party just for food and people start talking to you about football.
Yes, yes. Is that any Super Bowl
Oh.
or football party?
And people start talking to you about football. Oh
Yeah,
gosh. So you
that'd be
just
the
went
face
there
I'd
for
make.
food. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they actually start talking about the teams, and like this year, it wasn't even Minnesota. So I'm just like, I don't care, Chiefs or Philadelphia or whoever. Like I'm here for the salsa. It's a kid. Okay, sorry. Meme number two. You want to describe that one?
Oh my. What is he wearing? Flip
Those are
flops.
oversized, very oversized
Oversized.
giant
That's
shoes.
beyond oversized. Um, oh gosh. Yeah, I had to take a second look just to make sure that he's wearing flip flops. Yes, indeed, they are flip flops.
Yes,
Oversized flip
giant
flops.
ones. What does it say?
When you borrow your husband's shoes to get to mail,
To get the mail.
yeah,
Do you ever do that?
yeah, I do that a lot. Not just to get them, not just to get the mail, but to go. Like I go to Walmart, like I'll go to Walmart and be like, "Oh, it's oversized. It's my husband's shoes." Oh, okay, I'm already here. Too late.
Yeah. And they're giant. And not my husband's. I actually have two teenagers and they're like size 11 to 12 feet. Oh my God, they're giant. So I'm lazy. I don't want to put on my shoes because I got to zip them up and they're tighter, whatever. I slip theirs on, but then I realize what is the point? I look like a clown right now in my clown shoes, skipping along, sliding. Now it's icy out, sliding to get the mail. It's like, it's funny. I hope nobody ever sees me. Okay. Meme number three. Oh, just words. You want to read this one?
Oh, try replacing "I'm sorry" with "thank you." So instead of saying sorry I'm late. Say thank you for waiting for me. Replacing negativity with positivity and gratitude breaks the I'm sorry circle. It's powerful. Yes, indeed. Um,
Wow,
it
yeah.
is powerful. I like it. I've read it before somewhere, and um, it is powerful.
And
You're
it's
just
hard to do.
apologizing, and the person is not going to be able to accuse you of anything because you just before they could even speak, you already addressed the situation, right?
Mhm.
Thank you for waiting for me, and you can just move on to your programming or whatever it is you guys are doing from there.
Right. Well, and I know that I used to be the sorry's person. I'm sorry. I'd right away, I'd bump into somebody, "Oh, sorry." I'd drop something, "Oh, sorry." Like, they would drop something, and I would immediately go, "I'm sorry." They're like, "Why are you saying I'm sorry? Like, you didn't do anything wrong." But that was like my brain was wired that way, and I remember when, one of my roommates previously had called me out on that. She's like, "It's kind of," she said it meanly, but whatever. It woke me up, but she was like, "It's kind of annoying. You, like, say sorry all the time." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry." No, just kidding. I remember somebody said, you know, what so I would practice it with my sister at the time, just somebody I encouraged somebody to practice this, but it worked for me, and this might sound mean, but it wasn't mean. So instead of anytime I would say I'm sorry, I had to train myself to immediately say I'm not sorry. And it was really hard and really weird to do at first, especially out. But practicing with my sister, I got comfortable with it, and it kind of became this joke because so I drop something or bump into her, and I'd say I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, and and once I started practicing outside of that relationship with my sister, I finally, like, was able to stop saying sorry all the time. Case of the sorries.
Yeah,
So,
I
but
when
this
my
is so much
kids
more
say
positive. I like this way
yes,
better.
when my kids say sorry, I'm like, what are you sorry for?
Yes.
Kind of give them the minutes to think about, okay, am I really sorry? Did I do anything wrong? Right? Instead of just saying sorry, sorry all the time.
Right. And I always do that, like, with cashiers or, like, appointments. The person checks me, and if they say, "I'm sorry for this happened," I say, "Don't say you're sorry. You didn't do it. It's okay." I just, like, almost wanna just give them that right away. "Oh, no need to be sorries. Stuff happens." Okay, next meme. It's kinda funny. It looks like a smoke detector. Someone's
Yeah,
changing the battery.
putting fresh berries in my food timer.
Food timer.
How do you have food timer? Like,
So I burned toast the other day. Right? I got a new toaster, and it's not even like a fancy one. It's like a cheap one. But here's the thing, it's accurate. So the numbers on a toaster are actually minutes. Well, my old one must have been really old because before I'd set the toast on one. So the other day, and my kids keep doing it too. We keep burning the toast because normally it would take a minute to. No, now we're getting black toast and smoke detectors going off, and now that's been our food timer.
oh wow. I'm like, how do you get
So this one
one?
was really funny to me because it was a personal thing. So okay, this one I think you'll love as a parent.
If you serve your kids frozen pizza or chicken nuggets for dinner, you are a terrible parent. I don't care how busy you are, find the time to microwave them. Come on. I
It's
thought
just literal.
I thought it was gonna say find the time to cook for them.
I know,
What's
I
the
know.
difference? You know the macro use it.
I,
You know what macro is it.
yeah,
This doesn't make any sense to me.
yeah, it makes
It
sense
would
to
have
me
been
because
better if they say, I don't care how busy you are, find the time to cook for them.
yes, I mean that's why I thought it was funny because at first I was starting to get defensive because it says because I do. I cook. I do the frozen pizza, the chicken nuggets for dinner, and I wish I. Sometimes I'm on a dive. I'm going quick, and I don't have time to sit down. And I do enjoy cooking and making them a healthy meal. However, so then I'm getting defensive. But the best part is the second part is it takes it to that
Microwave.
next level. I don't care how busy you are. Find the time to at least microwave it. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I don't. I could validate myself. Oh, at least I don't give them the frozen pizza and frozen chicken nuggets. Here's dinner. Wait till it thaws."
They know how to do that. I love to cook. That's like one of my favorite thing to do.
Same. Okay,
Be
and this was a woman
careful.
sitting by a lake. It's a quote.
Be careful with your barrows. Sometimes intention means it's not about being right, it's about loving right.
Mm, that is
I need
from
to read this again.
Pam Lanhart.
Yeah. Huh.
Go
Be
ahead, read it
careful with
again.
your barrows. Be careful with your barrows. Sometimes intention means it's not about being right. It's about loving right. Huh.
So for
Interesting.
me, I love that. One thing that stuck out when I was in my DBT therapy is, I'd have these like go arounds with my ex about our kids, and it would just be instant red button. And I knew I was right. Like, I knew my intentions. It was about the kids. Like, this is what's going on. This is important. I'm speaking up. But my therapist would say, but Bridge, he thinks he's right too, right? She's like, I know you're right. You know you're right. We all know you're right. But are you being effective? Right? Is he good? Is
Mm-hmm.
he hearing
Mm-hmm.
anything you're saying? So is it better to
Mm-hmm.
be right in this moment
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
yourself? Or is it better
Mm-hmm.
to be effective? And what I love about Pam Lanhart is she talks about using love and not just as an emotion, love as an action. So
Yeah.
this I
Yeah.
think really correlates with just that present moment thing, which is it's still a thing. So- oh, I don't know if you'll get this one. Okay, so there's like
What?
three.
Greek philosophers, Backstreet Boys,
So
math
there's three dudes
problems.
standing around a table with swords. Okay, they look all mythical, old school. The okay, so the one guy with the sword it says it's a Greek philosoph Greek philosophers. The guy in the middle has got a crown. He's wearing armor. He says Backstreet Boys,
Backstreet Boys,
and the other guy with the sword, says math
math
problems.
problems.
Okay, hopefully you'll
Tell
get this.
me
Tell me why
why.
you must
Tell
brought up
you why
my
what?
brain. Okay. Tell me why math problems. You get it? Tell me why. That's a math problem thing. And the Greek philosophers, they're philosophers. You're in psychology, right? Psychology classes.
Yeah.
But immediately when you say "tell me why" in my head, I was like, "Tell me why." The Backstreet Boys. Okay, that was a terrible one. Sorry. Here we go.
No. Oh,
Okay, so it's
when
Oprah.
you
She got her hands up. She's just like, "Oh,
yeah,
stop, stop!" Like almost like she's saying, "Stop."
it's
What does
that,
she say?
yeah.
What does it say?
When you just want to vent, but they keep hitting you with sound logic and reasoning instead of letting you just be dramatic. I like that. I like that.
You find that happens a lot?
Yeah. My husband does this.
I think you gotta speak for itself.
Yeah. You would sound logic and reasoning instead of letting you just be dramatic.
And I will let people just be direct. I'm a good listener. And, a lot of times people just need to vent. And a lot of people in recovery, especially, don't have anybody else to vent to. Right.
That's true. That's
But
true.
there's always a point. I always feel like there's usually a point when I can, through my own experience, can plant a little seed that,
Yes.
they might not
It
find,
all comes back to
growth till
love
later.
action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that moment, what they need is love, uh, the empathy, um,
Yes.
just someone to listen to them and just,
Just to be
um,
heard.
yeah, and tell them maybe they're gonna be okay. Um, there is power in sharing your story with someone.
Absolutely. And final meme. Right. I thank you for being a good sport. Last meme. You want to read it?
Yeah, it says love yourself instead of loving the idea of other people loving you. Oh, I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Love
Yeah.
yourself instead of loving the idea of people, instead of loving the idea of other people loving you.
Yeah.
That's deep. I love
It
this.
is. Yes.
Um,
People pleasing, right? Instead of doing these
exactly.
things that you think that I used to think if I do these things, these people will love me no matter what, unconditionally. That it was all a ruse. It was all
And
false.
how did that work out for you?
Exactly. None of them were there when I fell really hard. Because I
You
didn't love
never
myself
please
either.
people. I was
Yeah.
like that. It was like I don't want to get in trouble, so it would just be easier if I try my best to please this person and
Mm-hmm.
never have to complain, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I was miserable with
Yes.
myself. I was miserable. I wasn't happy. I didn't even know at some point I lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. Um,
Oh, yes. I didn't even know who I was for sure until like, well, I was almost 40 years old. All
yeah,
right, Rita. Oh, we got another
okay.
comment. Let's see. Lois says, yes, real love is action.
Action.
Action speaks
Yeah,
louder than words,
the words
100%.
for sure, for sure.
Well,
Wow.
Rita, thank you so much for joining us. I feel free to stay on. I'm going to play this last 1 minute clip. It's really important. It kind of
Behind
wraps up our
there is
show
a new
here.
comment. Says behind every addict is a codependent. Mm,
Oh, yeah, there's somebody there. And where do you
yeah.
draw that line? Where do you set that boundary? We could oh, that reminds me. So next week we'll be talking. It's our special edition, Risky Relationships. It's a monthly edition, and we're going to be
Oh,
hitting on that. We're going to be talking about low value people. Like I've noticed on YouTube, there's a big rush of videos on low value women and why men shouldn't date them and are you a low value? And well, I'm going to flip the script on that because it ain't just women, it's people's. And what is low value in your eyes or their eyes? We're going to clarify that. But
yeah. Of course I want to talk about that. What do you mean you don't value a woman?
yes, you get that power, right? Like what you've talked about is finding that power. It has to come from within. But how do you do that? It's easier said than done.
Oh yeah, it takes practice.
Hmm. Okay, so
Lots of practice and patience.
thank you for being a good sport. Ray. Definitely stay on if you want to hear this last. But this is what so Dr. Gabor Mate goes and speaks to these groups and he'll do events. And I love how he really clarifies to these people in this room what quote unquote normal is. Okay, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here
Let's
we
do it.
go. This is the impacts of trauma. He pretty much sums it up for all these people in this classroom. They're there trying to learn something. I think he kind of mind blows everybody. Here we go.
This is here for
Well,
ourselves.
let me try that again. Hold on a second. I think I just messed that up. Sorry. You can tell I don't have fancy equipment. Oh, here we go. 5:48. Hey, at least I'm doing a show. Last week, I wasn't even able to do a show. So take it or leave it. Here we go. And then we'll just wrap up the show. Okay, here we go.
To the present,
Okay.
where you're thinking you're reacting to the present, but actually you're reacting to the past. And that's an important one because it affects everybody. You may think you're here because somebody in the family's got a problem and you're here to help them. What I'll be telling you throughout the day is that actually each one of us is here for ourselves. There's tremendous healing possible. Is anybody ever really whole? Yes, they can be.
Love it. Okay. Good night, everybody. I hope
Good
you all
night,
have a
everyone.
great week. Good night, Rita. Thank you again. And
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. And all right, take care. Bye
Take care.
bye.
Have a good night.
And music.